Hey guys, what's going on? In today's brief video, I want to provide you with 7 simple tips to help manage brain fog if you're quitting nicotine products. This applies to quitting cigarettes, quitting vapes, or quitting chewing tobacco. I know for me personally, when I was quitting, brain fog was one of the most annoying withdrawal symptoms to manage, and I felt like it was never going to go away, but I promise you it does. At the end of today's video, I'm also going to discuss some supplements that you can take to help manage the brain fog as well. Now, if you wind up enjoying this content, even more importantly than the supplements or the tips I'm going to give you, I made a 7-step guide. It's a free PDF on how to quit using nicotine products. You can find that in the video description or the pinned comment. It's free for immediate download, so be sure to check that out at the end of this video today. All right. The first question we have to answer is, why does brain fog occur after we quit using nicotine products? If you understand why it's happening, it's easier to overcome. Reason number 1, every time you consume nicotine, nicotine has a positive impact on the production of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter or a chemical in our brain that's responsible for focus. When you stop using nicotine, you wind up with a dysfunction of acetylcholine. It winds up being broken down easier, which isn't good because that then hurts memory and focus. So that's reason number 1 why you get brain fog. Reason number 2, every time you consume nicotine, nicotine releases a bit of dopamine. Dopamine is largely responsible for making us feel good, for motivating us to repeat a behavior in a focused manner over and over and over again. When you abuse a drug, nicotine being no exception, you wind up in a state of dopamine deficit. When you quit that drug, you have even less dopamine present in your system. So that drive, that motivation, that focused determination to repeat behaviors, it drops off. And this results in brain fog. Reason number 3, and the final reason why we experience brain fog when we quit nicotine, is every time you consume nicotine, it releases adrenaline or norepinephrine. This puts us in a temporary state of a fight or flight response. When you stop consuming nicotine, you're no longer getting this adrenaline spike or this norepinephrine spike that you've become so accustomed to having multiple times throughout the day. When we spike adrenaline, our blood sugar rises and our focus begins to narrow in on that given task. This is why some athletes report enjoying using nicotine prior to physical activity, or why a college student or someone who's working hard at a mundane task on a computer like studying enjoys using nicotine because of these adrenaline spikes and this focus that you get. So when you quit nicotine, you get the opposite of all those effects and you wind up with brain fog. Now, some things you can do to manage brain fog. Tip number 1 would be focusing on sleep. If you're not sleeping well, your brain is not recovering and you're going to experience brain fog. So pay attention to your behaviors before bed. Are you watching adult media content? Are you binging social media? Are you up way later than you should be? Are you not sleeping well? Lack of sleep will 100% result in brain fog, something I still experience to this day if I don't regulate my sleep somewhat decently. Tip number 2 is exercising. I recommend exercise first thing in the morning. Exercise stimulates dopamine production. You're used to that morning nicotine hit. You have to wake up and stimulate dopamine in some way, shape, or form. And I think exercise is the best way to do so. Now, if you can't exercise, taking a cold shower is another very reasonable option when it comes to stimulating dopamine production. Tip number 3, focus on eating fruit and focus on consuming foods with healthy fats. Coconut oil, avocados, grass-fed red meats, right? You're going to get these really healthy omega fatty acids out of those things, which are building blocks for dopamine and other neurotransmitters that we're lacking since we've quit consuming nicotine. Fruit is also going to give a temporary spike to our blood sugar levels. And a lot of times when people quit nicotine, they wind up feeling fatigued or they wind up feeling brain fog because of those fluctuating and dropping blood sugar levels throughout the day. So eating some healthy fruit can go a really long way. If you eat watermelon, you're also going to get some arginine in there, which is great for helping to restore blood flow and maintaining good vascular health, something anyone who consumes nicotine should be concerned about doing. Tip number 4, hydrate. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the day. Now that you've quit nicotine, your body is working overtime in this detox mode. Your kidneys, your liver, they're working very, very hard to get rid of this drug, and you want to make sure that you're hydrated. If you become dehydrated, if your body's lacking in electrolytes, you're not going to function well, and you're going to start to feel an onset of brain fog. This is where consuming something like Propel, maybe a little sugar-free Gatorade, there's better options than that I put in the video description for electrolytes, can go a long way. I prefer the electrolyte drops by Keto Chow. They're flavorless, they're great, no artificial dyes or colors. Tip number 5, meditate or practice self-hypnosis. I would recommend doing so with the app Headspace or Revere, R-E-V-E-R-I, Revere. It's a self-hypnosis app that was mentioned by Dr. Andrew Huberman. Now, what I would recommend doing, which I've done both apps, they're phenomenal, is just checking out the video description for the information on each of those apps and where you can find them. Meditation is a great way to get out of our head and back into our body. And brain fog largely is very, very easy to wind up getting consumed by, right? So you get brain fog, you're feeling off, you're not speaking well at work, you're not performing well at your job, and now you start to run with this. It starts to create anxiety and panic, and it's just a really bad feeling. Meditation or self-hypnosis is an excellent way to reground yourself and almost snap you out of the brain fog. Combine that with a cold shower, and that's like a winning combination right there. Tip number 6, participate in stimulating activities. You want to partake in activities that stimulate you, things that are exciting, things that are going to result in an increase of adrenaline or an increase in dopamine. Recently, I purchased an electric scooter. The thing is an absolute blast. It's like dopamine on 2 wheels all day long for, whatever, a 50-mile charge, however long that battery lasts. You have to participate in activities that stimulate you and that allow you to get into a state of flow. These meditation, yoga, for me personally, editing my YouTube video content, certain things I do in work, it puts me into a flow state. Anytime I have to hyper focus on something that I'm excited about, if I'm experiencing brain fog leading up to it, it always snaps me out of it, 99% of the time. Tip number 7, before we talk about supplements, avoid caffeine, avoid drinking alcohol, especially later in the day. These things are going to disrupt your sleep. They're going to disrupt your blood sugar levels. They're going to cause problems long term. We are trying to heal your dopamine pathways after quitting nicotine, and caffeine and alcohol are going to do nothing good when it comes to doing so. I understand a lot of people enjoy caffeine, and I guess that's okay first thing in the morning in a small quantity, but I definitely wouldn't be drinking 5-hour energies or Red Bulls to try and snap out of this brain fog. You might get some temporary relief, but long term, it's only going to make the brain fog worse. Stick to water, stick to electrolyte-based drinks. Now, as for supplements, what can you take when you're quitting nicotine to help with brain fog? The focus here that we like to place an emphasis on is in the acetylcholine production, and there's a bunch of ways to approach acetylcholine when it comes to supplementation, but what we recommend is beginning with a choline supplement and a carnitine supplement. Choline is of the B vitamin family. It provides some of the building blocks for acetylcholine, and carnitine has to do with how acetylcholine functions within our cell membranes. So these products taken together, something for the building blocks and something to promote the proper function of acetylcholine, can be very, very powerful. And remember, you quit nicotine, so you're having a dysfunction of acetylcholine. And maybe you got into using nicotine because you already suffered a choline or an acetylcholine, I should say a choline deficit, and maybe that's why you were self-medicating with nicotine this whole time. It's a possibility. I put links to the supplements in my video description along with instructions on how to take them after consulting with your primary care doctor. And lastly, L-theanine. Theanine is a great supplement when it comes to helping boost dopamine. It can also help with serotonin production. So, for those of you guys who are maybe feeling overly stressed but still need some level of stimulation to help you focus, the combination of choline, L-carnitine, and theanine is a great way to approach that. And again, I put more information in the video description on what amounts and what products it is you can look into taking off of Amazon. Now, on this channel, I promised I was going to go more in depth into supplements in the future. So if you want to stay updated on these things, if we have some really exciting news coming out in the next 2 weeks, okay, when it comes to supplement products. And it's something that I promise has never been done before, has never been seen before because it's never been created. We're going to be launching something like that over the next 2 to 4 weeks. If you guys want to stay up to date, be sure to download that free 7-step guide on quitting nicotine today. And then after you download that, you'll come into my email list where you get great tips like I gave you in this video to help you quit, but where you're also kept up to date on what's going on with our addiction mindset recovery coaching programs. So download that free guide. And if you don't feel like doing that, just pop into the next video where I talk a little bit more about nicotine withdrawal. I'll see you guys in one of those spots.